and then we'll go ahead and do a courtesy record because I know a lot of people are away for Labor Day. So this is week 4 of Blitz. And you know what? This is what happens. In the beginning, everyone is gung-ho and you're going to have, 80 people participating in Blitz. And then little by little, as time goes on, it kind of dwindles down. And it's to be expected. And, I don't want you guys to get upset or think like, what am I doing wrong? You're not doing anything wrong. It's the way that it works, right? In the beginning, everyone's excited. It's like signing up for the gym in January. And then by April, the gym starts dwindling down. But the people who have success are the ones who continue the routine, are the ones who continue to keep showing up regardless, right? There's a saying that goes, success is something that you continually do long after the mood you set it in is gone. Did you ever hear that one, Alina?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, so a lot of times, of course I don't feel like it, and of course I get tired and, things happen, but, this is your business. This is your shop. And when your shop is open, that's when you become successful, whatever success it means to you. And if you don't open up your store for business, then you're not going to be successful. This is predicted to be the biggest Isogenics week ever. There's going to be huge announcements, one coming tomorrow, one coming on Thursday. And so all week, just blasting people. So let's start by talking about the follow-up, Alina, because for me, the follow-up is very important. Like the way that I run my business, right, is every month I try to have 100 no's. Right? I literally go for no. And it takes a tough skin to keep hearing the no. But, the no is what builds your character, right? The yeses build your business, the no's build your character. So when you get these 100 no's every month, and we should be doing this every month, you should be going for 100 no's. Here's what happens. The following month, you're going to get quite a few yeses off that list. Those are I have to think about it. I have to let it sit in. I have to talk to my husband. I have to budget it. So when people are saying no or not right now or the timing's not right, it's not anything that has to do with you. So don't take it personally. You will have to grow a little bit of a thick skin to be in this business, because hearing no in the beginning, I suppose you could get offended, but don't, because it's not about you. So let's say in August, I've gotten these 100 no's. Now in September, what I'm doing is I'm following up. So I'm reaching out to every single person. Hey, Genevieve, I just wanted to touch back around with you and let you know that we've got free membership this week. We've got this, we've got that. I forgot to mention, but if you come on board with 2 friends, you're going to get $450 back. So following up is really one of the most important things that you can do for your business. So let's talk about that, Alina. Let's talk a little bit about the follow-ups, why it's important, some verbiage, and I want to pull up a great stat while you're talking.
Sure. Okay. Following up is extremely important, and it's actually, last week I had 4 enrollments, which was really, just out of the blue. And a lot of it was because I consistently followed up with people. And a lot of the people that I signed up last week weren't people that I spoke with, that day or the week before. They were people that I had been following up with for months, even a year, So, and it's true what you said, no doesn't necessarily mean no. I mean, I hear no all the time, but a lot of times there's something behind that no. There's a reason. There's no, I don't have the money right now, or no, I have to talk to my doctor, or no, I have this going on. There's usually something behind the no. It's usually not a flat out no. And they always say no actually means not right now, unless somebody just says absolutely not, leave me alone, don't ever call me again. I never cross them off the list. And I always have, I try to keep track of my follow-ups with a certain frequency. So, if it's someone that I'm speaking to for the first time and they said no, not right now, I will usually say to them, is it okay? I'm sorry the timing isn't right for you. Is it okay if I follow up with you in about a month or two to see if anything changes? More often than not, that person will say, oh yes, that would be great. Can you please follow up with me next month? Or, they just might not be ready that day. But I had some people that I followed up with, this week and last week who, the kids were going back to school. I had a lot of people I know whose kids are starting college. I mean, they're super busy, overwhelmed. And it wasn't the time for them to be talking to me about this. And I had a few people saying, now's not a good time, but can you call me in 2 weeks? So then I open my planner and I flip it 2 weeks and I write their name down on the day that they asked me to follow up with them. If they don't give me a specific day, usually what I'll do, if it's someone I've already kind of gone back and forth with, maybe I've been on the phone with them, I'll put them down for like a 1 month follow-up, and I'll flip the page 1 month from that day. I'll write their name down so that I don't forget about them and so they don't slip through the cracks. If I follow up with them a month later, they're still not responsive, they still don't want to do it, I may put them on a 2-month follow-up. So I have a lot of people who are on sort of a 2-month follow-up rotation, unless there's something big happening like free enrollment or some big sale. I might follow up earlier than that. So this week is really a great time to do follow-ups. You have a great reason to follow up. Hey, I know you weren't ready, 3 weeks ago or a month ago, but we're having this great sale, and I know that cost was an issue for you, and I can save you some money. So don't ever cross anyone off the list. And if they tell you no in a message, it's very hard to hear. You can't hear a person's voice through a message. You don't know what's behind that no. I always make sure I ask, is this not a good time for you? Or just try to figure out why they're saying no.
I think she gave you guys $1 million nugget right there. Number one, listen to her posture. She's in control of the conversation. She is confident. Her posture is strong. She did not let that no go away and just leave it as a dead end. She asked permission, right? Asking someone's permission. It really opens the doors, because who's going to say no? And when you ask permission, it's like, you're being courteous, you're being respectful of their time. She asked permission if she can follow up with them in another 2 weeks when maybe the timing would be better. I think that's a huge, huge clue right there. As I showed you guys, I got 100 no's in August. Of those 100, 8 have come on board. The other 92, I sent a message to today, and it was very similar to what Alina said. Follow up every 2 weeks, every 30 days, whatever seems right for you. There's no right or wrong way, but there's a way to follow up with people just to let them know what's happening, to let them know that, we're thinking about them. Hey, Zoya, I wanted to know if you had an opportunity to speak with your husband about the program. We have free membership this week, and I'm very interested in helping you reach your goals. This will save you an additional $29 off the price we discussed. That the other 92 people are getting this message. Whether they respond or not, I keep following back. And I want to share something with you guys. And the first time that I saw this, I was pretty floored, because people think that, you're going to get an enrollment the first time you sign up with the first time you have a conversation. But that's not always the case. Only 2% of the people that you speak to are going to say yes on the first try. 3% of the people that you speak to are going to say yes on the second try. 5% on the third try. 10% on the fourth, and 80% are made on the 5th to 12th try. Guys, that's huge, because half of us never even follow up. That's crazy. Look at the statistics, 80% of the people. So if you talk to 10 people, 8 of them will say yes if you just reach out 4 more times. But half of us don't even do that. We act like amateurs instead of being professionals. Only a quarter of us make a second attempt, and only 12% of us make 3 or more contacts. And the people who are great, and I hope you all take a snapshot of this, because when someone says no, I want you to put a little tally mark next to their name, because guess what? You've got to hit them up 4 more times. You know, take a picture of this, because it's really valuable. Many of us stop after the first try. And the reason why I asked you all to get these whiteboards and to get these notebooks and to get systemized is because the 7-figure income earners are very organized. They're very organized. Every single person that they talk to, whether it's via text or via messenger or on the street, they document their name and they put them in a column to follow up. I have lost so many names, so many leads. And the more people you talk to, the longer you do this for, you'll lose track of people. It's huge. I listened to Todd Falcone give a huge call saying that the reason why he is as successful as he is because he keeps this list. And I know I've shared this list with you guys several times, but I would like to share it with you again. So this is all my leads, anyone who I want to talk to. This is every single person who I've spoken to. And you can go further and put a tally mark next to him. 1 conversation, 2 conversation, 3 conversation. Document. Stay documenting. How many times have you spoken to this person? 4 times? Guess what? Keep going. You know, these are all people, and once they've enrolled, you can take their name from here and put their name right here. Because as long as you're going to follow up and as long as you're going to keep an organized list, the people from I'd like to talk to I've had the courage to talk to I've followed up with will all wind up being here. And that's our goal. Don't think of it any more than that. You're taking people from column A to column B to column C. And I want you to really be as systemized as possible. You know, I know a lot of us are sending messages via text, via Facebook. Guess what? If Facebook shuts down, if you get blocked, are you going to be out of business? You have to have this list. You have to have their phone number. You have to have their email. You have to have some form of contact for this person, because building solely on Facebook and storing your information solely on Facebook is like building your business on borrowed real estate. Do you guys get that? So it's really important to document and follow up and follow up and follow up. So do you have any questions, any reservations, anything that Alina and I can talk with you about with respect to the follow-up? Are you uncomfortable? Do you not know what to say? I see Mercedes raise her hand.
I was going to say that I feel that, you know, when I first started, I struggled a little bit, but with having joined the meetings that I've been part of so far, I definitely have more confidence, and I'll go back and I don't feel like I'm being that much of a pest. But one example that I get here often is that I don't know how to handle is one where they say, well, I'll let you know if I'm interested, and I'll let you know, I'll call you back. Even if I've said something like, you know, can I call you back? You know, can I reach out to you in another week or 2, based on like what we're discussing, you know, and the feel that I get based, you know, on their feedback. But I feel like they sort of leave me hanging. And then should I at that point just kind of like let them go or revisit them, you know, in another 2 months? Because they're basically telling me, right? They're basically telling me, I'll let you know. I'll get back to you. So I feel like they're putting up the wall at that point.
What would you say, Alina?
Yeah, I've had people tell me that before. Yeah, where I've maybe shared some information with them and I'm trying to set up a call with them and they say, I'll get back to you, basically they're saying they'll get back to me. I still write their name down on my follow-up list. And I think to myself, well, if they don't get back to me by, 2 weeks from now, I'm going to reach out again. And so I'll write their name down for my 2-week follow-up list. And then, maybe in 2 weeks, I'll follow up and I'll just say something like, I'm so sorry we haven't had a chance to connect yet. Would you still like to, are you still available to talk for a few minutes so I can explain the program? A lot of times I'll sort of apologize and be like, oh, I'm so sorry. I've been really busy. I didn't realize we haven't spoken yet or something like that. Because sometimes people will say, I'll get back to you, but then they get busy and they forget. So it may not be that they're ignoring you. People are so busy. they really do forget. I'll message somebody and, they haven't responded to my last message and I'll message them again a few weeks later and they'll say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I never got back to you. Like, I think sometimes people are they're so distracted. Everyone is so busy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think not taking it
I certainly try that.
And sometimes, Mercedes, I would even message them that has nothing to do with Isogenics. I would say, hey, Julia, it's September. The kids are going back to school. Have an amazing fall.
Right. And that's also very true, too. Stay connected and, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So following up is not always program. Do you want to buy it now? Staying connected with someone is just, how are you doing? I know you mentioned to me that you were going to join Weight Watchers. How are your results? What's happening? Follow up with someone because you genuinely care and have their interest at heart. It doesn't always have to be like Isogenics. This time, my follow-ups are based on the free membership. So everyone who I inboxed today was for that. But if people who I haven't gotten that far with and haven't even had a conversation with and they're reluctant to get on the phone, just wish them a great fall. Thank God the kids are going back to school. Am I right? Like, say something funny. Yeah. Just connect. Just be yourself. Don't be weird about it. So does anyone else have any questions with respect to following up and the statistics and the verbiage? Guys, following up is being professional. That's what it is. It's not being a pet. It's not being annoying. It's none of that stuff. And the minute you don't follow up, your business is dead and gone. I will tell you honestly, because right there it clearly shows that if you're not following up minimum 5 times, you're not getting 98% of those people that you speak to. Whether you've spoken to 6,000 people, it has nothing to do with your verbiage or how experienced you are. It just has to do with their timing. So don't take it so to heart. So now we want to talk with you guys a little bit about handling objections. When I first started, I was so passionate about Isogenics and I loved the program and I believed in it so much that if somebody said something negative, like they need to chew or they can't afford it or they Googled and they heard Isogenics makes you poop green, like I would get so offended and my tone would totally change and I would become very hostile and almost like defensive, like somebody was saying something negative against like a family member, like we cannot treat it like this. And I heard a wonderful podcast where Jeffrey Combs talked about the waitress at the diner, keeping a cool head and being prepared for the objections that are coming makes you come to people with a cool heart. And I want you all to write this down. It's really important. We are here to educate. They decide. We educate, they decide. And that's the posture that I want you to take with everyone. Objections are a very, very common part of our business. Being an amateur is getting crazy and hostile and defensive. Being a professional, like we're learning to do here in Blitz and through these team calls and great leaders like Alina, is how we can become professional, how we can teach you to handle these objections with style, with grace, with a cool head and a cool heart. Right? So the waitress at the diner. Has anybody ever had any waitressing experience? Yeah, Mercedes, anyone else worked with customer care? Tara. So let me ask you, Tara, when you offer someone a second cup of coffee or a third cup of coffee, do you get offended when they tell you no?
No.
No. Do you get offended when they tell you the matzo ball soup tasted like it was like from last week?
No.
Yeah, you didn't cook the matzo ball soup. Like, what do you care what they say about it, right? Like, you know, just not getting offended and keeping cool about it is really important. So let's talk about a few of the objections that we want to give you the skills to handle. So, Alina, let's start with number 1, the money objection. Right? This is the most common objection, and 80% of the people that will say no will use the money as an excuse. And I want you to understand that these objections are just excuses. They are not really what's going on, because when we show value, when we show the greatness in what we have to offer, no money, no reason, it doesn't matter. Within the first 5 minutes, someone has decided whether they're going to do this or not. That's why your calls should not be more than 15 minutes, because you're not here to convince. You're here to educate and let them decide and then follow up until. So let's talk a little bit about the money objection, Alina. How do you handle that? What do you say when somebody says, you know, well, first of all, we present different packs, right? So we always give people a choice. Write this down. Always give people a choice. We have good, which is the 30-day. We have better, which is the pace setters pack. And we have the best value, which is the value pack. So one is about $11 a day. The other is about $15 a day, and the other one is about $18 a day. And generally, when you give people a choice of 1, 2, or 3, they will settle somewhere in the middle, right? But at the very least, they're going to go for the bottom pack. If you just present someone one option, one pack, they're either going to get it or they're not. If you give someone the choice, you're allowing them to make a decision. So once we've presented the different packs and someone says, way too much, I just can't afford it, Alina, what do you say?
Well, a lot of times, you know, even before I present the packs, I try to figure out how much they're already spending, because I think that's really important to figure out where they're coming from. You know, people are all coming from different places. And so a lot of times before we get into the whole discussion of how much it costs, I'll say, you know, is it okay if I ask you a few questions to figure out what might fit best into your budget, depending on what, you know, how you're spending your money now on food and groceries and things like that. And usually people will be fine with that. So, you know, I'll ask them to let me know what 2 meals they think they would be replacing. A lot of people don't realize, you know, when they're asking you about our program, that 2 of their meals are going to be replaced. So it's really important to make sure they know that, because a lot of people, I think, don't realize that. So I always make sure they know two meals will be replaced. Which 2 meals do you think you'll be replacing? Most people say breakfast and lunch. That's pretty standard. I mean, some people want to replace dinner because they're busy or something in the evening, but most people say breakfast and lunch. So I just try to walk them through, you know, what do you currently have for breakfast normally? What do you currently have for lunch? How much do you think you're spending on those 2 meals a day? And I try to get them to give me a number. Sometimes you have to ask more than once. People have a hard time because people don't think about how much they spend on a day-to-day basis. So sometimes it's a little hard for people to give you an answer. But I try to get a number so that way I can say, you know, if they tell me, well, I probably spend about, you know, $14 a day, I'll say, oh, that's great. I'll say, because we have, 3 packs and they all kind of, you're either going to save money, you're going to spend the same amount of money you're already spending, or you might just have to pay a few extra dollars to get our best pack. And I always start with the value pack, and I describe that one first, and I say that's the very best choice. And sometimes if you describe the value pack and they're ready and they're willing to invest, that they'll go for the value pack. But I always make sure that if they're kind of hemming and hawing, that we do have 2 other packs they can choose from. I also always make sure they know that they can get their products paid for by starting with 2 family members or friends. And I try to keep it really casual. I'll say, another thing I use is, I know how you feel, because I felt the same way. My sister signed me up, and in the beginning I didn't want to sign up because I didn't want to spend the money. And she right away helped me find 2 friends to do this with me. And so what I found was, when I did that, I got half of my money back. Half of my system was paid for. I ended up with accountability partners. We had a lot of fun together. And as I did the program, I actually found that I was spending less money than I normally spend, because I wasn't, stopping for fast food or, going out to eat as much, and, that it all kind of evened out in the end. And sometimes I think if you relate your own experience and tell people you felt the same way, because most of us probably did, before we started this, they'll see that, okay, you kind of went through the same thing too.
Yeah. Isn't it strange, Alina, that if you ask someone how much their cable bill is, they'll be like $186.92.
Yeah.
Ask someone what their phone bill is, they're like $202.97. But when you ask someone what they spend on their daily or weekly grocery or monthly grocery, people have no idea. Guys, $70,000 is spent on average per family on eating out. $70,000 a year is spent on eating out. And so I love that you kind of go over a breakdown with them, because honestly, for many of us, I know we were stopping at Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks and spending on coffee and buying lunches out. And so I love that you go over their daily spending budget. You ask them what 2 meals they're going to be replacing. You offer the 3 different systems to give them some choices and variety. And I really love that you do the feel, felt, and found, because you're like basically saying, look, I also thought the same thing. However, what I found was this. And introducing the you plus 2, them plus 2 right away is so important. I think many people feel like, whoa, I don't want to talk about money here, but why not? If I can show you how to get your groceries for free at Stop and Shop, wouldn't you want to know? If you can walk into Trader Joe's with 2 friends and get $450 back, I would want to know. And so Susan Sly, when someone says, how much is it? She says, well, it's free or it's free. Let me show you how. Or I'm obligated to share with you, this is how you can get your products for free. If you don't like it, you can try it for 2 weeks, pack it up, and send it back. We have a money back guarantee. So you're kind of letting them know that there's really no skin in the game. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. But if you do like it and people are going to notice your results, there's a great refer a friend program. So I can show you how to get your products paid for before that first credit card statement even comes in. So being honest and being forthcoming, but most important, having that cool tonality, right? I love the way that Alina just related it. Look, I thought the same thing, but my sister showed me how to get the products paid for. And the fact that she's saying that her sister showed her, it's not like she's saying some guy Joe at the barbershop. This is somebody she knows, loves, and trusts. So it brings that much more validity and credibility. So did you guys think that was helpful?
Definitely.
Awesome. So if you think this is helpful, just comment yes in the chat, just to give us some feedback so we know that we're giving you guys what you need. The next thing Awesome. So the next thing that people often say is, I want to talk to my spouse. So what do you do in the case, Alina, when people have to talk to their spouse or get that third party validation?
Well, a lot of times if they say, I want to talk to my spouse, I'll say, well, do you think your spouse will do this with you? Because in my experience, this works a lot better when both people in the household are doing this together. When I started the program, my husband did not do it with me, but after watching me for a few weeks, he decided he could probably do it too. And once we started doing it together, it was definitely a lot easier, just because we were both eating the same things. So I always ask first, is your spouse, going to do this with you? Now, sometimes they'll say, oh my gosh, no, they would never do that with me. He or she is probably going to kill me for wanting to spend this money. And so sometimes I'll say, well, listen, if your husband or wife has questions or concerns, I would be more than happy to speak to them as well and answer their questions. But a lot of times, I always say, I totally understand, especially if this is an investment for you, that, you want to discuss it with your significant other, to make sure that you're both on the same page. But that's what I usually do. I usually ask if that significant other would do it with them. Again, I say, remember, if you have two people to do this with you, it will cost less for you, so that, if your spouse has a money objection, that might help take care of that. And also, just letting them know it's okay. You understand that they have to ask, or that they want to ask or discuss it with their significant other.
Absolutely. So encouraging them to speak to their spouse, to say 100%, I want you to speak to your husband because I want him to support you and be your accountability partner on this journey. If somebody wants to speak to their spouse, about an investment that they're making, it's important that they talk to their partner, because they want someone at home who's going to cheer them on and not sabotage them. And so, when someone says, well, I don't know, let me speak to my husband, or maybe he'll do this, I'll say, hey, I don't know if I mentioned this, but my husband also lost 11 pounds on this program. And if you would like, I can definitely get another gentleman on the team to talk with your husband, or maybe even ask my husband if he would be willing to jump on a call. Support their decision. So speaking to their partner, it's not a bad thing. A lot of people certainly say that. They do need their spouse's support. So that was number 2. What about the third objection? Oh, did I hear someone? What about the third objection, saying that they want to do some research?
Yeah, so, when people say that, I say, great. I want you to learn as much as you can about these products. If you want to do some research, please let me send you some links that you can take a look at, where you can really dive in and learn all about, if they want to research the ingredients, or, whatever it is. I might send them a link to isoproduct.com so they can look at all the ingredients. If they're really interested in, knowing the scientific background or the validity of it, I'll send them isogenicshealth.net, and I'll let them know about our clinical studies. If they just want to know, how other people have done on it, then, certainly we can add them to, New Life, New Me, and show them transformations in there, our own team members who have had transformations, and let them kind of follow along and see how it works, see how we support one another. And, I think somebody who wants to, a lot of times I think somebody who wants to look into it more and research, sometimes those end up being your best clients later on, because they've taken the time to really look at it and take it seriously. And sometimes I think that's better than the people who are like, okay, whatever, just sign me up, and don't really know what they're signing up for. So I've had some really good success with people who really take the time to learn about it, and then they get back to me and say, you know what, I really took a closer look at this, and it looks really great, and I want to try it.
I couldn't agree with you more that the people who say that they want to do some research turn out to be my best customers as well as business builders. What I love that Alina said is she's going to be the one to provide them the information. She doesn't want them Googling, coming across bum articles, wrong information. She's going to send them the research from isogenicshealth.net. She's going to send them the product ingredients from isoproduct.com. She's going to send them to isagenixpodcast.com to listen to the science as well as the transforming lives. And she's going to add them to New Life, New Me to view actual stories, actual testimonies, recipes, support. So I love the people that take time to do the research because a lot of us are thinkers. A lot of us are very visual. Not everybody is going to give you their credit card. They want to see a website. They want to see something. They want to read something. And so if you think about it that way, that the person who wants to do the research could actually be your best customer, you're going to have a different tonality with them. You're going to treat them very differently. And one thing that I want to add to the spouse as well as the research is set a time to follow up. When someone says, I want to speak to my spouse, say, fantastic, it's Monday. Is Thursday a good time to call you back? Always make a next time. Remember, you're trying to get that little tally mark next to their name. How many times? It's like Lisa DeMeo always says, it's like playing tennis, right? So you talk to them on Monday, that's the first conversation. You want that second tally mark on Thursday. They're still thinking about it. Ask them if it's okay if you call them back in a few more days. You want that third mark. You want to just have minimum 5 follow-ups because that's when it really resonates and sits and, keep following up. But when someone says that they want to do research, encourage their research. Be the one to provide the information. So let's talk about the people that say that they want to speak to their doctor, Alina. When somebody wants to talk to their doctor, what do you say?
So, sometimes, you'll have people who have medical issues, maybe they're diabetic, maybe they have something going on. I have a friend who recently reached out to me and she underwent lots of treatment for cancer, and so, obviously if somebody has something medical going on, I encourage them to check with their doctor and I'll provide them, I'll say, look, why don't you take, this ingredients list to your doctor, or here's an article you can share with your doctor, or whatever it is. I usually try to send them something they can show their doctor. But sometimes, and when people say I need to check with my doctor, I'll usually ask them, if they have medical concerns that they're worried about. Because I have had people tell me they need to check with their doctor, and then when I ask them, if they have health issues, they'll say, no, I don't really have any health issues, and so, I'll ask, what is it specifically that you want to check with your doctor about? I'll try to figure out why they want to check with their doctor, because it could be something that I can easily answer for them myself. Not that I'm a medical professional, but if it's something just, that's not, needs a doctor's opinion, sometimes it's just something that they're not sure about and it's something that you can answer. But absolutely, if they have any medical concerns, I tell them absolutely check with your doctor before you try something like this.
Yep. But also I want to just share that if, I love that you say, do you have medical issues? I think that's an important question to ask, because if they have no medical issues, I would say, well, you wouldn't ask a doctor if you're going to eat a bagel or
right.
Diet Coke.
It's just food.
It's just food. So it might open up that conversation. But I love that you're the one that's giving them a little print off from isoproduct.com and say, look, if you're going to, talk to your doctor about this, send him this, the ingredients, maybe an article relating to diabetes or, the sugar in our shakes. What I also tell the clients is, yes, absolutely check with a doctor before starting a weight loss program. However, I just want to tell you that if a doctor is not familiar with isogenics, often they might just say no just to cover their own behind. right? Because if a doctor is not familiar, he'll say, no, I can't recommend anything that I don't really know about. So maybe there's a doctor on the team. Maybe they would be willing to speak with a nurse. We used to have Dr. Alina, who was doing our calls frequently. So, send them as much information as possible so that they're not totally reluctant to join. You really do want to share with them that this is nothing more than food. And this is safe for diabetics, for women who are pregnant and breastfeeding, and just support their decision with as much articles as possible. Remember, we educate, they decide. And the last one, and this one, it irks me a little bit, but I've gotten much better at this. What do you say if someone says they don't have time?
Huh.
Yeah. I don't have time to get on a call. I don't have time to do this. I don't have time. I just, they just don't have time for anything in their life.
Well, I usually tell them, that's great, because doing the system can save you time. Because it saves me time.
Yeah.
I'll say I understand. Again, I try to relate to them. I know exactly how you feel. I felt the same way. I'm very busy too. I have kids. I have a job. I'm running around all the time. But what I found is following the system is very simple. Once you get on it, once you're familiar with what to do, it can save you time. You have your meal ready to go. When you go to work, you can take your shake, you can take your healthy snacks, you're prepared. So I kind of let them know that this will save them time. If they don't have time to get on the phone, well, that's another story. Usually what I say to that is, well, it's much easier to talk than to keep texting or messaging. It will only take me 10 to 15 minutes to talk to you about your goals and to answer your questions. When you have 10 to 15 minutes, let me know.
I love it. And I say the same exact thing. And I want to just share with you guys this. When somebody is serious about getting healthy, they will give you 5 minutes of their time. What you are presenting to them and the posture that I want you to have is, this is a gift, right? You are offering someone a gift. And if they do not have 5 minutes of for you to give them your precious time, then they're not ready right now. And I don't compromise my business, my self-respect. And I say it just the same way that Alina did. If you don't have 5 minutes, I certainly don't have 45 to text back and forth. Or I would say something along the lines of, it is much more informative to you. And I would be saving both of us a lot of time, or, in an effort to be more respectful of your time, I would rather have a 5-minute phone call because it's much more informative for you, right? You're doing them a favor by getting them on the phone. And if they don't have time to get on the phone, I don't minimize my business. I also want you guys to set business hours. This is fun. This is network marketing. This is, about helping people get healthy. I do not want you guys taking phone calls at 2 a.m. If someone text messages you and says that they're ready to enroll, set up a time and do that. I know many of us are working full-time jobs or full-time parents. I don't want you to, the minute this becomes annoying, stressful, tedious, you're not going to do it, right? So do it in the pockets of your life that it's going to work for you. I touch my business every single day, but when my kids need me, when there are family things going on, it's always, the Cougars always say, God, family, then isogenics. In that order, whatever order that is for you. I don't want you to go crazy and, throw your kids out of the car and just say, just run across the highway to the soccer field. I have a phone call. Listen, posture is everything. You don't want to be that girl that's desperate for a prom date. So the minute someone texts and says, I'm ready to enroll right now, I would say, that's wonderful. I'll be pulling over in about 25, 30 minutes. If you can just bear with me, I'll call you as soon as I get out of the car, right? Posture. It's about posture. Posture is everything. So set business hours. I typed up all the notes for you. I will post them in the Blitz group. But I want you guys this week, and Alina and I will post the assignment for the week. But we really want you guys to embrace these rejections, objections. We want you to get comfortable with handling them. And we want you to start making a little tally of how many times you're following up with someone. Have you spoken to someone 5 or 6 times, or are you giving up? Are you giving up after 1 or 2 tries? So we're gonna have you talk with your teams about that and really evaluate yourself. Are you a great follow-upper, or do you need some improvement in that area? Because Blitz is all about having the conversations, getting them to take a look, handling objections, and following up until. If you can master these skills, you will be a success with Isogenics. That's all I do. And when someone tells me no, I write in my little book, okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow. You know, I just keep following up. And you know what? If they don't want me to follow up, there's a great little button called block and delete. And chances are you're networking and you're making so many friends that if somebody wants nothing to do with you and they block and delete you, you probably won't even notice that they're gone. I literally just noticed someone like block. I'm like, hey, I haven't seen her in like a year. She blocked and deleted me. But that's okay. You want the people that are positive, that are open, that are kind, that are generous. I don't know, when someone reaches out to me and they're selling like Usborne books for kids, I'm receptive. I listen, I hear them out, and I say, you know what, not right now, we're kind of hitting up the library, but check back with me. Kindness is free. If someone is not that way with you, it has no bearing on what you're doing wrong. You're not doing anything inappropriate. You are being a professional. You're helping people. And I want you to start really holding yourself in the highest regard. You're going to have months where you are crushing it and enrolling 10 people. And then you're going to have months where you're not enrolling anyone. It has no reflection on how wonderful you are and how successful you're going to be. The people who make it are the ones who continuously do the do. August stunk for me. I had 0 enrollments, but because I did the do, September, they're coming around. And that's the way it works. Alina, do you have something to say about that? Because I watch your Marco Polos, and you're the most consistent person I know, and you're doing it from your car, going from patient to patient. Can you tell everyone what you do professionally?
Sure. I do home health physical therapy. And so on the days that I'm working, I'm pretty much driving from house to house. So a lot of times that's actually one of my favorite times to do calls, is in between patients, because I'm already kind of have that free time and I can do the calls then. But yeah, what you said about, sometimes you'll have no enrollments. I mean, that's kind of, the summer was very slow for me, July and August, both. I mean, I had a few enrollments here and there, but it was very slow. And it's very easy to get discouraged and think, gosh, nothing's happening, nobody's responding. But the thing is that people are still watching you. They're still following you on Facebook. They're still watching what you're doing when you're out and about, when you see people, in your neighborhood, or, dropping your kids off at whatever you're dropping them off at, or whatever it is that you happen to do. And, it was crazy. I mean, last week when I had those enrollments, I had four personal enrollments of my own between Sunday and Sunday. And, it was all just because people were watching and finally decided they were ready. So it's really important to stay consistent with the follow-ups. And like Angela said, not to get discouraged if you're not getting enrollments. It doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It just means that, you know, you haven't found the right people yet, or the people that you're going to enroll are just not ready yet. But when they're ready, they'll let you know. And they may let you all know at once, which is kind of fun when that happens.
Yeah. So I want to just show you guys. I mean, this is basically like what it looks like, right? So you're talking to anyone and everyone. So the more people that you get to take a look, right? They're going in your funnel. They're going in this concoction that I made here, right? And the more people that you have taking a look, the more people you will have to follow up with. And remember, follow-ups are those touches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, minimum 5 to 12 tries. So the more people you have taking a look, the more people you will have to follow up with. The more people that you're following up with, the more enrollments you're going to get. If you only have 5 people taking a look for the month of August, and you're only following up with one of them, how many enrollments do you think you're going to get? For me, it's always been a numbers game. If I can just go for 100 no's, I would have 100 people to follow up with. If of those 100, just 5%, just 5 signed up, right? I had 5 enrollments. The other 95 would be taking a look. And these are the people that I'm working with and following up with. And then September, I'm going to get another 100 people to take a look. And maybe another 5 will sign up. And then I've got another 95. That's 190 taking a look. And that's all this is. I have always focused on my activity. It was never about the numbers. It was always just about my action steps. As long as I'm in action and doing the do and following up and getting these people to take a look, I know when they're ready, they will come around. I don't have special skills. Guys, I've enrolled hundreds of people, and it was really just because I had more conversations, because I had more people taking a look. Because when most people are worried about who's going to judge me, who's going to think about me, what are my neighbors going to say, I was desperate. Change comes from inspiration or desperation. I was in a desperate situation, a hole that I had to dig my way out of. And so I never worried about who was thinking what, about who was going to judge, about why they were saying no. I just kept doing the do. Victoria Brunetti every day does the do. I see so many people on this call. Sophia doing the do. Kelly Winchell every day doing the do. Alina doing physical therapy with older people, gets in her car from one customer to the other, doing the do, not prejudging. How many people have you reached out to on your Facebook list, or how many people have you casually left off because I don't want to bother her, or I don't think she needs it right now? The people, Vicki and I were talking, I don't want to say laughing, we weren't laughing, but we were talking about it, and we were like, people are complaining that they're having a really slow August, but it wasn't really that slow for us. We still had like 5 to 8 enrollments, because we kept consistently doing the do. Some of you are in this blitz, and I'm not going to call you out, but some of you are in this blitz acting like spectators. Are you watching? Are you, really trying to make a difference? Not everybody here wants to be a millionaire. Some people want to just make an impact in the world. Some people want an extra $500 to $1,000 a week. Some people want to walk that stage and be recognized for the first time in their life for putting in good work, because nobody at your job notices or says thank you. Whatever you are doing here, whatever reason you're being here, fun, community, friendship, go all out. You have an opportunity here. This is the best company, the best compensation plan. Every single one of us deals with the same objections. Alina, did I throw any objection out at you that you were like, whoa, I've never heard this one before?
No, I've heard them all.
That's it. That's it. So you have to go out there and embrace the objections. Embrace it, because now you're going to be able to handle it like a professional. The people who are enrolling, the people who are making money, have nothing on you other than they've had the cojones to have more conversations. They've had the guts, the courage. That's it. That's it. There's no GED versus PhD. There's no age. There's no skill set. The person who has the most conversations and is able to share this gift with the most people are the ones that win. That's it. That's it. And we really want this very much for all of you. And if you think someone doesn't need Isogenics, you're absolutely wrong. You don't know what's going on behind someone's closed doors. You know, Alina is not someone that came to this program for weight loss. She was a runner. She was fit. She was in great shape. She told her sister that, you know, her sister was crazy for a good year before she decided to come on board. And thank God Vanessa mastered her follow-ups, right? Otherwise, she might have given up and Alina wouldn't be here. So, do you guys have any questions? Any questions at all about handling objections? Do you feel like you're going to go out there with a little bit more confidence and posture and knowledge? When someone says something ridiculous like they need to chew, are you going to get nuts on them, or are you going to be graceful and patient? Right? Okay. So we will post our homework assignment in just a few minutes. And Alina, do you have anything else that you wanted to add?
I don't think so. I think what you said in the very beginning of the call, though, about being organized is really important. You know, you don't want to let anyone slip through the cracks or forget about someone. And I almost did let someone slip through the cracks. A very nice lady reached out to me 2 weeks ago and said she was ready to start. And I saw her message and I thought, oh my gosh, I don't remember the last time I followed up with her. And when I looked, we hadn't messaged together since January. And I felt awful. I thought, oh my gosh, I never followed up with her. And she somehow, her name was left off the list. So you have to be very organized. And she's on day 3 now, I think, and she's doing great. So yeah, really important to stay organized. So the whiteboards, the planners, all of that, make sure you're writing everybody's names down somehow, figure out what works for you, and don't lose track of anyone.
Awesome. Thank you. I pull them from Facebook and I write them in my notebook. I pull them from the text message and I write them in my notebook. And then at the end of the month, I make sure that everyone goes into my Excel spreadsheet. Or you can even use a 3-binder notebook. So the first section of your, those regular spiral notebooks with the 3 sections. So section 1 can be leads, section 2 can be follow-ups, and section 3 can be currently enrolled. As long as they're on there. And please start getting their phone numbers as well as their email, because if Facebook shuts down, I don't want you guys to be, you know, without a business here. I want you to always be safe. So make sure you start storing people's information. Okay, guys, thank you so much, Alina. You're amazing. You did such a good job. Thank you, everyone, for being on, and we'll post the assignment shortly.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.